Just how much worse could things get for the Chicago Bulls in the 2024-25 season? We're diving deep into the potential factors that could turn the Bulls' current struggles into a full-blown crisis, potentially leaving them at the bottom of the Eastern Conference. Welcome to Chicago Bulls News, your go-to source for the latest updates on the Windy City's favorite team. Today, we're diving deep into the world of the Chicago Bulls and exploring a question that's been keeping fans up at night. Just how much worse could things get for the Bulls in the 2024-25 season? Now, before we jump in, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. It really helps the channel, and you'll stay up to date with all our NBA content. The Chicago Bulls. Six-time NBA champions. The house that Jordan built. But lately, it feels like that house might be on the verge of collapse. The 2023-24 season was already a disappointment for Bulls fans, with the team struggling to find consistency and barely scraping into the play-in tournament. But as we look ahead to 2024-25, there are storm clouds on the horizon that could turn this rough patch into a full-blown crisis. Let's break down the factors that could lead to a potential disaster season for the Bulls. The DeMar DeRozan dilemma. DeMar DeRozan has been the heart and soul of this Bulls team since he arrived in 2021. His mid-range game is poetry in motion, and he's been the go-to guy in clutch situations. But here's the thing: DeRozan is set to become an unrestricted free agent after the 2023-24 season. At 35 years old, DeRozan will be looking for potentially his last big payday. The Bulls will have to make a tough decision. Do they break the bank to keep their aging star, or do they let him walk and lose their most consistent offensive threat? If they sign him to a massive deal, they could be hamstringing their financial flexibility for years to come. If they let him go, they're losing their primary scorer and locker room leader. It's a lose-lose situation that could set the tone for a disastrous 2024-25 campaign. Zach LaVine's trade value plummets. Speaking of stars, let's talk about Zach LaVine. The Bulls have been trying to shop him around for what feels like an eternity, but his massive contract and injury concerns have made him a tough sell. If LaVine has another injury-plagued season in 2023-24 or shows signs of decline, his trade value could hit rock bottom. This leaves the Bulls in a precarious position. They could be stuck with an overpaid, underperforming star who doesn't fit their timeline, or they might have to accept pennies on the dollar in a trade. Either way, it's not looking good for Chicago's roster construction heading into 2024-25. The Lonzo Ball saga continues. Remember Lonzo Ball? The point guard who was supposed to be the floor general that would elevate this Bulls team to contender status? Well, as of 2023, he hasn't played a game since January 2022 due to persistent knee issues. The Bulls have been holding out hope for his return, but at this point, it's starting to feel like waiting for Godot. If Ball's health issues continue into the 2024-25 season, the Bulls will be left with a $20 million hole in their salary cap and a gaping void at the point guard position. This ongoing uncertainty could leave the team scrambling for answers and unable to plan effectively for the future. The Eastern Conference arms race. While the Bulls have been treading water, the rest of the Eastern Conference has been gearing up. The Celtics, 76ers, Bucks, and Heat have all made significant moves to improve their rosters. Even traditionally weaker teams like the Pistons and Magic have exciting young cores that are only getting better. If the Bulls stand pat or take a step back, they could find themselves not just out of contention, but potentially near the bottom of the conference. The days of sneaking into the play-in tournament might be over, replaced by the harsh reality of being left in the dust by more aggressive and forward-thinking franchises. The coaching hot seat. Billy Donovan has been at the helm of the Bulls since 2020, but his seat is getting hotter by the day. If the team underperforms again in 2023-24, there will be intense pressure to make a change. But here's where it gets tricky. If the Bulls do fire Donovan, who's going to want to take over this potential mess? Top coaching candidates might see the Bulls as a toxic situation, leaving Chicago to either promote an inexperienced assistant or hire a retread coach past their prime. Either way, a coaching change right before or during the 2024-25 season could lead to schematic chaos and a team struggling to find its identity. The draft pick conundrum. Here's a fun fact that Bulls fans might want to forget. Chicago owes its 2025 first-round pick to the Spurs, with top 10 protection. This puts the Bulls in the worst possible position. If they're bad enough to keep the pick, it means they've had a truly abysmal season. If they're just mediocre, they lose a valuable asset that could help them rebuild. This draft pick situation could force the Bulls into short-term thinking, trying desperately to stay competitive enough to justify losing the pick, rather than embracing a full rebuild. It's a recipe for being stuck in NBA purgatory, not good enough to contend, not bad enough to fully bottom out. The Nikola Vucevic question mark. Nikola Vucevic has been a solid presence for the Bulls since they acquired him, but he's not getting any younger. As he enters his mid-30s, there's a real risk of decline. If Vucevic starts to lose a step defensively or sees his shooting percentages dip, the Bulls could find themselves with yet another overpaid veteran on the books. This could force Chicago to either play Vucevic heavy minutes despite diminishing returns or scramble to find a replacement center with limited resources. Either way, it's another potential headache for a team that might be full of them. The pressure cooker effect. All of these factors combined create an environment of intense pressure. Players feeling the heat to perform, coaches on the hot seat, management desperately trying to salvage the situation. It's a recipe for poor decision-making and fractured team chemistry. We've seen it happen to other franchises before. One bad move leads to another, desperation sets in, and suddenly you're looking at a team in complete freefall. The Bulls will need strong leadership and a clear vision to avoid this fate, but based on recent history, that's far from guaranteed. It's a nightmare scenario that would leave the Bulls languishing at the bottom of the Eastern Conference, potentially for years to come. But here's the thing, it doesn't have to be this way. The Bulls still have time to right the ship. Smart trades, savvy free agent signings, and a commitment to player development could turn things around. It's going to take bold moves and a clear vision, but the talent and resources are there to avoid this doomsday scenario. What do you think? Are the Bulls headed for disaster, or is this all just pessimistic speculation? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. Until next time, keep balling.